Star Wars only, I don't know what the fuck your problem is.
We finally have the official runtime for Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, the one that's ending the episodic Skywalker saga, and it's 2 hours and 21 minutes, or 141 minutes to be exact. And I think this is good news. Originally it was reported that it was going to be 2 hours and 35 minutes, making it, I think, the longest Star Wars film to date, if not like a little shorter than Star Wars The Last Jedi. And I'm okay with the runtime that we have. I'm glad they shortened it a little bit to the 2 hours and 21 minute mark, because that brings it around the same runtime as Revenge of the Sith, and like right between that and Attack the Clones, which is still one of the longest Star Wars movies that we've had to date. And I've always cautioned against a longer Star Wars movie. I've said in the past that the longer the Star Wars movie is, the more likely it is to be a not so good Star Wars movie. My case in points always have been and always will be Star Wars Attack of the Clones and Star Wars The Last Jedi. I think those two kind of have a battle for the worst Star Wars films in recent memory, or just in history in general. And so I like the idea that this is actually not past 2 hours and 30 minutes. It's 2 hours and 21 minutes. It's a little over, of course, the runtime that we got with the original trilogy. But when it comes to runtime with Star Wars, I think one of the key things is a lot of people like to say, oh, I like a longer movie. Well, what the fuck does that even mean? Just because a movie's long doesn't make it good, and also just because a movie's short doesn't make it good. But normally when it comes to Star Wars, each movie is kind of a nice, short, 2-hour adventure. And I think with this not being 2 hours and 30 minutes and trying to be some kind of, I don't know, soap opera kind of finale for the Skywalker saga, for the family of the Skywalkers and whatnot, keeping it around that normal runtime between Attack of the Clones, between Revenge of the Sith, is a pretty decent standard to go for. Revenge of the Sith, we all look back on that one in the prequel trilogy as, yes, it's not the longest, it's the second longest behind Attack of the Clones, but it's got a really decent length. There's only a few scenes that feel a little unnecessary. And so J.J. Abrams has said that there's a few minutes he could add or take away in this film, and I think when we watch it, we'll hopefully see that there's no wasted time on it. A lot of people look at Attack of the Clones and The Last Jedi, and when you watch it, you go, man, with a few editing tricks, and you could really fix up the pacing a lot in those films. And that's one of the biggest problems with The Last Jedi, is that when it was announced, it was damn near 3 hours. And that, for a lot of fans, it's like, oh, that sounds great. But then you get to the Canto Bight scenes, and it's like, okay, this is a little lengthy, and there's some problems there in terms of pacing, where, you know, you get to the part where Kylo Ren and Rey have their little Force bond moment thing with the lightsaber, the Skywalker lightsaber, and it breaks in half. That felt like the climax of the movie, but it keeps going for 30 minutes. Hopefully we don't have that problem with The Rise of Skywalker, where you have a climax that feels satisfactory. There's not much to do, I would assume, after the climax, other than some Lord of the Rings style kind of farewell to all the characters, even though Lord of the Rings had like, what, 20 different endings at the end of that one, or Return of the King. Great fucking movie though, I don't even care, I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But still, a decent runtime like this, 2 hours, 21 minutes, is a good sign, I think, for this movie. I think it's the right length for a Star Wars movie, mainly the one that's supposed to be the finale of the Skywalker saga. So I'm happy to hear this news, I'm happy to hear that it's not 2 hours and 30 minutes. I thought that was a little long for a Star Wars movie, but would seem almost fitting for the finale to everything, and feeling like it has so much ground to cover in the Skywalker saga, specifically the sequel trilogy. I feel like there's still a lot of ground to cover in terms of our characters, but 2 hours, 21 minutes, I'll take it, man. I'm happy. That means I don't have to be there too long if I don't like it, and it's not too short as well and feels rushed or anything. I think this will be an interesting movie for a lot of us fans to see. So tell me your thoughts about the runtime, and that it was announced 2 hours and 21 minutes, or 144 minutes. Do you think it's too long? Do you think it's too short? Tell me your thoughts below. I'm Star Wars Only. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see y'all next time, and may the Force be with you, always.